Well, the traffic is what it is right now. I'm on the north side of Chicago. I'm gonna try to just BS with you long enough for you to see the city skyline come into view. I'm gonna tell you something, you know. Let me, because some people will look at what I'm gonna say, and they're gonna say to themselves, "This is political, what he's saying." But to those people, I say, take a deep breath, take a deep breath, hold it for just 1 second, and then breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe out, breathe it, blow it out, blow it, keep blowing, blow, 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 blow. And then maintain homeostasis. I'm not being political. It doesn't matter what anyone would think about what I'm going to say. This city that we're going to see, they used to call it Second City. This is a magnificent jewel. This is something that is a testament to what human beings can do when they come together. Now, again, I gotta be careful, because I could easily, in this rant, in this stream of consciousness, say things that were political, but I'm going to endeavor to not do that. So I'll put it this way. There's all kinds of opinions on this city and how it got here, who it was that got it here. I'm not going to put too fine a point on it. There's all kinds of opinions about this wonderful Chicago. I'm on my way to Chicago where the water tastes like cherry wine. You know? And this is the home of the blues, man. This is the home of the hot dog, hamburger, hot dog. You know, this is where it all happens. The Bears. The south side of Chicago. Bad Leroy Brown. You know, got a razor blade in his shoe. This is the great, iconic American city. What is a pink Tesla there? It's the great, iconic American city. In fact, I'm getting too close to this truck. I'm going to let him go forward a little bit, because I want you to, you know, it's going to come up here on the left. And it's magnificent. Oh, there's a new name for it, but the largest building in this town will always be known as the Sears Towers to me. I won't call it anything else. There's always going to be the Empire State Building. There's always going to be the Sears Towers. And it's the Sears Tower. So as I was saying, this wonderful, marvelous, grand old city, you know, Miss McClary's cow, you know, it was burnt down in the late 1800s, almost to the ground, because of a libelous newspaper. It was blamed on poor Mrs. O'Leary, when her cow probably did not kick a lantern over in her barn, and even if it did, it could have happened to anyone. It was rebuilt. The people here, the immigrants that have been Polish and Hungarian and Russian, and they've been white and black, and they've been Hispanic, they come from Mexico, they come from Guatemala, they come from everywhere to come to this great and grand city because of that wonderful thing. And I'm not trying to sound too hipster, but because of that wonderful melting pot, melding of people, but the melding of people into one culture. I had some of the most fabulous lengua tacos last night that I've ever had in my life. Lengua means tongue in Spanish, if you don't know. And yes, they were made with the tongue of cow. And it's very funny to me while I eat them to think this thing that I'm eating once tasted what it was eating. And it tastes good. So this wonderful city, this perfect example of a melting pot. Look, when anyone says, you know, stay to yourself, you know, don't mix with other cultures. You know, I have my own opinions about other things I'm not going to get into. I'm not talking about marriage or you know, things like that. But I'm saying, when they say just, you know, you're better, you're worse, or stick to your own kind, man, if I did that, you know, no comida la tacos de lengua para mí. You know, I wouldn't be able to have that experience, and so many other things. I mean, the food is the least of it. You wouldn't be able to have the people. And look, I don't want this video to be too long, so I think I'm going to pause it right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick it back up when those, you know what, nah, I'm going to talk in mood. You know, y'all can fast forward this. No one would force you to watch this, and if someone forces you to watch one of my videos, son of a bitch, I hope somebody kicks him in the balls, man. I don't want to be censored, and I wouldn't want anybody to force anything on anyone. This is the whole thing that's going on right now. There's a ramming down the throat that's happening in society. And look, it's hard for me because I'm just about ready to spout off about the Hegelian dialectic and divide and conquer. But you know what? That's political. That's political. And politics is apt to get a man hung while he's still young and pretty. and I want to keep on drawing breath. I don't want to make a bunch of enemies. I had my little foray into giving my opinions on that. And when I did, I think it was the appropriate time. Right now, people, it's not the time for politics. It's not the time. Right now is the time for me to love you for what you are, for who you are. Now is the time for me to judge you by the content of your character and disregard the color of your skin. Now is the time for me to look past any ancient grudge that there may be against my fellow brothers based on an immutable characteristic that you have no...
There's a lane closure ahead.
I bet there is. Which ones, honey? Now she might tell me. Of an immutable characteristic that you have no control over. What, you would hate me because I have red hair? Or you'd hate me because I'm 6 foot tall? Or something else that I have absolutely no control over? Or God forbid, you'd hate me because I'm a Jew? Because I can trace my blood back to Abraham? Or I would hate you because you can trace your blood back to Ishmael? Or anyone else? What a ridiculous notion. This idea that a grudge can be transferred, Hatfield and McCoy's like, that it can never die, that the only thing to do with a grudge is to perpetuate it, is to continue to hate and hate and hate. And his great-grandfather hated your great-grandfather, and by the God in heaven and Sonny Jesus, we're going to hate each other till kingdom comes back or be damned. This kind of thinking, man, what is more insidious than people worrying about Russia dropping a bomb or World War III? Look, World War III is nothing to fear compared to the division and the ingrained hate that the ruling class has for us lower caste. Now, I'm dipping my toes into something politic. And once again, I don't want that Georgia necktie. I just want to have a good time. I want to look at this great city and once again feel the fire of American ingenuity, of American do it. Just get her, send her, get her done. Let's get her, as they say up in Canada. And today I just want to get her. I want to look at this. Well, I want to look at traffic, believe me. I'm looking very carefully at traffic. I'm not going to run in that little CRV ahead of me if I can help it. But while I'm paying attention to traffic, I want to look at this beautiful city and pretend that, and I'm gonna have a little nostalgic moment here. But I want to pretend it's 1992. And not only because I was 18 years old in 1992, but because in 1992 I didn't even understand racism or sexism or any of the other isms. Now the geniuses, half of them weren't even alive at that time, will look back with the focused lens of 2020 hindsight, and they'll say, "Well, you just are ignorant, ogre. You're just a stupid old truck driving preacher. You could take your psychology degree and wipe your stupid fat ass with it. Why don't you go get a coffee enema? All that's sitting on your ass in a truck. You must have so much impacted dung up there that it's creeped its way up your body into your brain, and now it's coming out of your mouth." Look, I'm not going to sit here and mush it down to the simple love is the answer and love will overcome. Not always. Not always. Sometimes a baseball bat. Sometimes a razor blade in your shoe. Sometimes a bigger gun is the answer. But you could also throw away the hate. You can use that baseball bat, that razor blade, that bigger gun, and you can do it without hate or malice in your heart. you can let your intent be self-preservation, advancement of your society, the betterment of mankind. Now, don't get me wrong. Horrible things have been done in the name of all those things I just said. But if it's done by principled people, if righteous people were to take hold, maybe it wouldn't be that way. A couple of leaves. I'm getting used to it, but the bunk over here is not the most comfortable thing I've ever been in.